A Soma. Well, okay. But funny thing, since most of the time I don't have mana issues. Yeah. I was kinda hoping for another jewel I could use to trade in for Magatama at the junk shop. But, yeah. Because I think that's the only place where you can get those jewels, unless you get them from bosses and such. Maybe I should pay more attention to that. Now, since I'm back here, I'm gonna have to run all the way back and try another path until we get to the elevator platform. Yeah, I would say that this dungeon is not too bad, actually. It's definitely bigger than I thought it would be, but the whole backtracking you have to do if you take the wrong path, it's not such a bad thing, in my opinion. Now, one thing I don't really like are the types which have trap holes in them, because I haven't seen any trap holes so far. So I think it's good so far. Since the peculiar thing about trap holes is that you can't see them, and it's too late until you actually step over them. And it's the kind of backtracking you have to do, which I mean, you can't really. I guess it's just that trap holes, you don't see them until you fall down, and that's it's kind of like the annoyance factor in that. It's just too much. Anyway, let's see if we can fuse anything in here. Okay, save. Let's move on. What was I talking about before? Wait. Can't do anything with this cube. Something about dungeons. Oh, right. But it's not as bad as you can visit. Yeah, backtracking in this dungeon is not that bad because you can clearly see. Well, you don't really. You can take one path and see where you're going, but you don't see that you've taken the wrong path until you actually, like when you cross the platforms with the elevators. You don't really see where you end up until you're actually there. So in a sense, it's kind of like trap holes, but it's not as bad, since with trap holes you can't cross them. You have to take another path, and yeah. I guess I just don't like trap holes. Wow, then we could have shortened that one down by just saying, in short, I don't like trap holes. But I just feel a need to explain why I say some things, rather than just saying them and then just going. And that's all. Let's move on. Not giving any explanation as to why I say something. Now, since we were able to visit the Cathedral of Shadows here, I hope that I do get a chance to visit one more time before the actual boss fight. Since, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to tell how much there's actually left, but I think I've cleared at least more than half of the dungeon since I'm on the 77th floor. But the thing is that I would like to do some recruiting if possible before the boss fight. Since this is actually a dungeon I can visit and actually recruit demons in. So wouldn't be a smart thing to not recruit someone and fuse demons if I can. Since once you actually clear a dungeon, there aren't that many places you can go afterwards to actually recruit more demons for fusion. So I better make the best of it while I still can. Now let's see how I proceed through this puzzle. Let's see. Since I want to take the path with the 8 symbols or whatever. 3, 4, 7, and 8. Okay. Not too hard. Can't go this way. I can't go that way, so let's ride the elevator. And now we are on the 90th floor. I think we're getting close. I wouldn't mind that, since as much as I like running around in dungeons, I do enjoy boss fights more. And from what I've seen from this game so far, there's actually quite a lot of boss fights you have to go through. And I can just say one thing, I approve. I've always thought that boss fights in video games are one of the most enjoyable moments you experience, since usually with bosses, they're like the tougher than normal enemies you have to defeat, and you have to make use of your skills which you have acquired throughout your journey to defeat them. So they're not your average type of enemy you have to defeat. You have to actually do your best to actually defeat them, usually. And that's one of the parts I do enjoy with games, is you have to overcome challenges in that kind of sense. And some games, of course, focus more on being tough or having tougher enemies or boss fights than others. But nonetheless, I do enjoy boss fights. It's even better though if the game also have mini bosses in between the actual boss fights or something. You know, something which has really struck me, which I hadn't actually realized until some time ago, is that back in the days, they made games more difficult than. Let's see, should I pick anti-expel or no? It's gotten a bit hard for me to choose between which skills I should choose whenever I level up and my Magatama gives me a new skill. And the thing is, of course, that I think I received a comment some time ago asking that why not look up a list of skills you can get from the Magatamas and just pick the ones you want to have. But that's not how I play the game. I try to avoid all of these looking through walkthroughs or whatever, since I'm just playing the game as is. Since I'm not really out to do a walkthrough here, I'm just playing through the game. So unless I really feel that I'm stuck and I can't really figure out what to do, that's when I look up walkthroughs or guides just to get some help. But yeah, I actually haven't looked in a walkthrough yet for this game. I know that I used to do this in the past with games that at tough points I did use to look through walkthroughs, but even further back when I was a kid, I think I used them pretty much as soon as I started playing a new game, and it got boring really quick, so that's one thing I've wanted to steer away from, and that's what I stick by nowadays, to not use walkthroughs or anything, if I can help it. Since I'd rather just play the game and if I have done things completely wrong and I get to the point that it's hopeless, you have to start over from a long way back to get things right. I'd rather just do that than having to look through a guide to figure out the optimal path or optimal build to do something, because at least I enjoyed my time more rather than if I was playing the game and I looked through a walkthrough at the same time. But it was a good suggestion or comment anyway, since if you play the game to actually beat it and you're not really out to well, since if it's not the first time you play the game, then sure, it's not a bad thing to actually use a walkthrough to maybe see things you didn't see the first time you played the game. Sometimes I just think that maybe I should actually write in the video descriptions that it's a blind playthrough, so that meaning that I play the game for the first time. But it just feels like it would just become so repetitive if I wrote that in all of the video descriptions I would write all the time. So I'd rather just explain that at some point, rather than just saying that, okay, so this is a blind playthrough. This is a blind playthrough, and so on. But a good general rule is that I do blind let's play unless I state otherwise, which is something I also mentioned on my YouTube channel. 99th floor. I get the feeling that this dungeon is actually... Oh my. How many floors are there in this dungeon? I thought it would only have 100 floors, but... I guess I was wrong. Maybe it has under... I don't know. But since I did expect it to end at the hunt... Since I did expect this dungeon to only have 100 floors, that means that to be honest, I'm not sure how much there's actually left of this dungeon. But doesn't matter, we're just gonna keep going, I guess. It's really hard to see how much there's actually left. So, yeah, better just buckle up and bite the bullets. Or bite the bullets and just keep going. Yeah. 103. Maybe it has 150 floors? I'm just making a guess here. But it did make sense back when I was on the first floor that I would guess that this dungeon has at least... Well, the closer I got to 100, the more it made sense for it to have 100. 114. Yeah, I don't know anymore. You can't really see anything. Oh wait, there's something up there. You can't really see anything. Oh wait. The second after I can actually see something. The Moira sisters. Clotho is the spinner. What was Lachesis? Atrophos is the inevitable. One spins the thread, the last one cuts it. What goes in the middle? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm gonna save, I'm gonna take a break, and I will be back later. And hopefully we'll have a boss fight on our hands pretty soon. Because I love boss fights.